In Revenge of the Sith, when Darth Sidious tells Anakin Skywalker that the Jedi are indeed planning to take over, he does not lie, as there is in all actuality a real plan for the Jedi to go behind the Chancellor's back and claim the Senate. Greetings, Acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the Archives. The cover story for Palpatine when he rose to power as the Galactic Emperor was that the Jedi had attempted to usurp control of the office of the Supreme Chancellor, and by proxy, the entire Galactic Senate. While this had mostly been propaganda to get people of the galaxy to turn on the Jedi, newly discovered evidence has revealed to us that there might have been a seed of truth in this lie. In fact, according to some lines in the Revenge of the Sith movie, as well as an extended perspective in the novelization, the Jedi Council may have actually been plotting a conspiracy to take over the Senate. These are very bold claims, and not ones that we present lightly. However, we already know how far the Jedi of the Clone Wars had fallen, and how many moral compromises they had made up until this fateful point, which means that this plot may have been the icing on the cake of the Jedi's corruption, and may even prove that there is an inkling of truth in the Jedi needed to be destroyed. So, come along with us today, Acolytes, as we decrypt this classified holocron, and talk about the Jedi's plan to overthrow the Chancellor prior to them even knowing he was Darth Sidious. Before we step into this though, we need to make sure you all have the proper security clearance to view this top secret data. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and become an acolyte of our archives so that you can gain access to even the most secretive of knowledge, which we upload every single day. Now, let us dive in. If he does not give up his emergency powers after the destruction of Grievous, then he should be removed from office, says Ki-Adi-Mundi, to which Mace Windu replies. The Jedi Council would have to take control of the Senate in order to secure a peaceful transition, and this dangerous conversation ends with Yoda issuing a grave warning. To a dark place this line of thought will carry us. Great care we must take. For many, this is all we know of the Jedi Council's discussion on this matter. However, in the novelization for Revenge of the Sith, there are two separate occasions where Windu somewhat goes off of the deep end and starts straight up talking about blatant treason. He suggests the very thing that Darth Sidious accuses them of afterwards, taking control of the Senate by way of force. The first time it is mentioned is during a private conversation between Kenobi and Windu, which happens just following the rescue of the Chancellor from Grievous's ship after the Battle of Coruscant. Mace Windu was informing Kenobi of the Council's recent discoveries, which was them coming to the conclusion that Palpatine was in fact being controlled by a Sith Lord hidden in his inner circle. We recently released another holocron talking about why the Jedi Council thought it was impossible for Palpatine to be this Sidious, and that it had to be somebody else, as we detailed their conversation about this topic at length. Well, this is what they said directly afterwards, and we are now going to read a passage from the novelization and analyze it. For 1 second, Obi-Wan saw something raw and haunted in the Quarren Master's eyes. Mace turned away. It is possible that we may have to move against Palpatine. Move against, Obi-Wan replied, to which Mace responds, if he is truly under the control of a Sith Lord, it may be the only way. You haven't been there, Obi-Wan. Mace stared bleakly down at his hands. You've been off fighting the war on the Outer Rim. You don't know what it's been like, dealing with all the petty squabbles, and special interests, and greedy grasp of fools in the Senate. And Palpatine's constant, cynical, ruthless maneuvering for power. He carves away chunks of our freedom, and bandages wounds with tiny scraps of security. And for what? Look at this planet, Obi-Wan. We have given up so much freedom. How secure do we look? After this, Obi-Wan realizes just how thick the darkness was on Coruscant, and how it was poisoning even the likes of Windu, and causing dissension even among the Jedi Council. Kenobi calms Mace down from this tirade, and reminds him of who he truly is, and that it wasn't a very Jedi way of thinking. Mace begrudgingly shelves this idea for the moment. But then, the idea is revisited in a later chapter. Another private meeting between Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Yoda. They all are in a heated debate about what the next steps the council should take, in light of what is going on. The problem that Yoda presented was that they couldn't do anything without proof, but Mace wanted to move forward and arrest Palpatine anyway. Proof may be a luxury we cannot afford. A dangerous light entered Mace Windu's eyes. We must be ready to act. Palpatine must not be allowed to move against the Order. He cannot be allowed to prolong this war needlessly. Too many Jedi have died already. He is dismantling the Republic itself. Palpatine may be able to do what the Separatists cannot, bring down the Republic. If he tries, he must be removed from office. Removed, Obi-Wan said. You mean arrested. The argument then starts to heat up, with Mace getting more and more intense about the topic as he makes a speech about the Republic being the only civilization that they had. He then says this: "We must be prepared for radical action. It is our duty." Obi-Wan then protests by saying, "But you're talking about treason." Finally, Mace seems to snap and he lashes out at Kenobi. "I'm not afraid of words, Obi-Wan. If it's treason, then so be it. I would do this right now if I had the Council's support. The real treason would be failure to act." Mace Windu's readiness to finish things quickly almost puts the entire Jedi Order at risk. Yoda steps in with this argument stating, "Such an act destroy the Jedi Order it would." The Masters continue to argue, not really reaching a satisfying conclusion until they eventually decide to use Anakin as a spy against Palpatine. The Jedi Order was fully ready and willing to take aggressive action against the Chancellor and the entire Senate at the drop of a hat. Mace in particular wasn't even waiting for substantial proof and wanted to move forward with his preemptive strike. I really enjoy these moments in the novel where we see just how desperate Windu is. I think it completely recontextualizes the scene where Anakin informs Windu that Palpatine may be a Sith Lord. Rather than call for an emergency meeting and decide on the next course of action, Windu immediately summons the best duelist on the Jedi Council and storms the Chancellor's office. Initially, it is Mace Windu's intent to arrest Palpatine, but as the duel is prolonged and he sees just how powerful Sidious is, he truly is attempting to kill him. I think this all says much more about Windu than it does the wider Jedi Council. The war had made Windu desperate, seeing all the Jedi turn to the dark side, and then those that did not be mowed down by endless battle droids. The Jedi Master simply could no longer hide his anger. He had been sensing shatter points on Palpatine for years now. He sensed a plot to destroy the Jedi, and he stated that the dark side surrounded the Chancellor himself. But with all of this, it was far worse than even Windu could picture. Isn't it insane that after finding out that Palpatine was in fact Darth Sidious, that Mace Windu only told 3 other Jedi because of the fact that he did not want Yoda and the other Masters on the Council to stop him from moving against Sidious immediately? A mistake that Yoda said truly did mark the end of the Jedi Order. Could this have even marked a civil war if Windu moved against Palpatine without any proof? Would some of the Jedi join the Republic and Palpatine's side, and the others the Council? Could there have even been another Jedi Civil War? And could this Civil War be a worse timeline than the canon one that we already see? But anyway, my friends and fellow acolytes, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Mace Windu wanting to move against Palpatine immediately and having to essentially be subdued by both Obi-Wan and Yoda at various points in time? What do you think would have happened if he did in fact move against Sidious? As always, friends and acolytes of the Force, thank you again for visiting our archives, and I hope to see you again soon.